But why the move back? Okay, let me pause the music. All right. So, obviously, a lot of people have been asking me this question. They're asking me this question of, why are you moving back to Kronos? Why are you playing on your OG account again? Also, congrats on the Zerk. Yo, thank you. Oh, by the way, oh my god, I don't know if I posted the video. But guys, I just re-uploaded this. It was an unlisted video for like a long time. Yeah, go watch that video, guys. Go watch that video and tell people that like it's the best tell me, or just like call me Unk or something, like, you know, like cute strength user is back. But anyway, back to your question. Why am I back? Why am I playing Kronos again? If I were to summarize it in one sentence, it would mainly be because the people that I started playing Hyperion with no longer play Hyperion. If I were to summarize it in one sentence, that would be the reason. The people who I played Hyperion with and started playing Hyperion with, they no longer play Hyperion. And obviously, there's way more to that sentence, but if I were to summarize it in like one sentence, that's the main reason. Obviously, there's other downsides of well, I don't want to say downsides. Let's talk about it. Fuck it. Let's just talk about it. Playing Hyperion, I feel like there's a lot of not bad necessarily, but I feel like there's an agenda with like a lot of people who play Kronos about how Hyperion is like a dead server and it's this and that, and there's a bunch of botters and cheaters, which is all true. There are a lot of botters and cheaters. There are a lot of people who service. There are a lot of people, or there aren't a lot of people just like randomly that you see in the map. If I logged on to my Hyperion character right now, I would not have to CC once to find the Titty 3. I promise you, I would not have to, right? But this agenda that people, I see this a lot, and personally, I don't really like it. But a lot of the people on Kronos talk about how the server's dead, straight up. That's what a lot of people say, right? And my like argument, or not really argument, but my thing that I always told people that would say like, oh, Hyperion is such a dead server and blah, blah, blah. What I tell people is I'm gonna ask you, right? I'll ask all of you guys this. How many people do you need to feel like a server's dead? Like, because me personally, right, I was a guild leader. I literally recruited like, and let me not say me, but me and my group of friends recruited a bunch of people to play Hyperion with, so we could have a circle of people to play the game with, right? But the reality is who do you interact with on a daily basis in Maplestory to make the game fun for you? Usually you're interacting with your party members, and usually you're interacting with a guild. If people say that Hyperion has dead guilds, that straight up isn't true. Star's not a dead guild. Spring's not a dead guild. LOL's not a dead guild. Treason's not a dead guild. Fate's not a dead guild. There are tons of not dead guilds. There are tons of communities on the server. There are even Chinese communities, like for example, Idol, which is had the rank 1 player. He was an AB. He was a Chinese player who got from my understanding, he got like a country restricted or something from like the Nexon thingy, and that's like the last time I heard about that guy. But you can find Monster Park in the UI usually. And yes, obviously there are people like Mr. Gigataco 5 that also, yo, I'm kind of ranting here, so let me open like the chat thing. But there are a lot of people obviously who let me put it there for now. But there are a lot of people obviously who they play Hyperion and they run Monster Park solo and blah 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 blah. You know, it's like Bara. Yeah, exactly. There's not a lot of people, but the guilds and the communities of people in these guilds kind of keep the game like active and feeling fresh. And like from my experience, right, I think it's kind of like what Taco said. It's worse than it sounds from my perspective, because from my perspective, right, there are people who are carrying BM. You can start BM mules, which is like a big thing for like a lot of people, because a lot of people like having strong mules, right? Which is totally fair, right? Since there's no PvP, PvE is the only competition you make of it, and if there aren't a lot of competing guilds, it'll feel dead. Yeah, that's true. But the thing is, and this is obviously just my opinion, and I obviously haven't played Hyperion now for like, let's just say like it's been like more than a month of me not playing Hyperion. I mean, I logged in and just like did random shit with people, but that doesn't really count as playing in my opinion. But basically what I'm trying to say here, right, is I feel like a lot of Kronos people, they talk about the game and they talk about a lot of negatives that relates to being on a dead server. Now, let me flip this on you. Let's talk about the positives about playing on a dead server, okay? Let's talk about the positives. One of the biggest positives, in my opinion, of playing Hyperion, and everybody knows what I'm gonna say, it rhymes with churning. It's burning, bro. Burning is everywhere. I obviously don't play Hyperion anymore, right? But if you go to any of these maps, if you go to, let's just say, like any of these maps, any of these popular bro could have said kerning. Yeah, I could have. He said churning. Yo. That's just the first thing that came to mind. But anyway, like there's burning literally everywhere. If you're trying to make a fast push to get to a certain level breakpoint, like 285, bro, you can find the burning. Not to mention the fact of the matter is there is a lot of good maps open to a lot of different classes because of this ability right here. It's called Soul Janus, right? I think that's because you were so far ahead of the average level player. I'm 284 and there is 0 burning in top deck 6 or top deck 8. That is true. I 100% agree with that, right? But the thing is, and this is just my opinion, obviously, but the thing is with access to Soul Janus, like Dawn and Dawn and the other one. What's the other one called again? Is it this one? Nope, it's not this one. I forgot what the other one's called. But with access to the stuff, you can go to like other maps that aren't contested. Like for example, like in Arteria, like let me just look at Arteria real quick. In Arteria, top deck 8 is good, top deck 7 is good, top deck 6 is good. I'm not sure about top deck 5, 4. I know top deck 1 is like low mobs, but it's like really AFK with that shit. I'm assuming all the bottom deck maps are like relatively decent, and I mean you're 284, so you're in the level breakpoint for like all these other things. My point is, and you're absolutely right, burning was accessible to people like me. Oh, let me put this shit back. But burning was accessible to someone like me, right? That is true. But, and that is also just because I was far ahead of a lot of people. But with that being said, I'm sure right now on Hyperion, if you went to just maps that were like more populated, or sorry, less populated, I'm sure you would find burning. And even if it's 50% burning, 50% burning is better than 0% burning, right? And that will expedite your progress in the game. You know what I mean? Also, what's up, Igneed? But let's not even talk about burnings for a second. Let's talk about this other. Yo, I haven't said. Yo, JJ, I haven't said it yet. I haven't said that yet, JJ. I just want to let you know I have not said that yet, okay? But the other thing you have to keep in mind, right, is let's talk about like getting a map in general, right? Bro, no one can disagree that getting a map on Hyperion, whatever time of day, is the easiest thing to get. You can go to at any time of day, literally the most peak of peak maple hours, which is usually I would say peak maple hours for most people is like 12 it's like midnight EST, 9 p.m. West Coast, essentially, right? I would say that's like peak for most people, like in terms of hours that the people are on the game. There's a lot of Aussies on at the time, just, you know, a bunch of people even from like Yeah, just a bunch of people. I would say those are like the peak times for Maple, right? And if you were looking for a map at peak times, whatever time on Hyperion, you'll get a map. Now, okay, obviously all the things that I'm mentioning are just things that I'm just thinking off the top of my head that make the server like feel good to progress on. But if we're just gonna be honest, yeah, you can't take away from the fact that the server does have a lower population, and by lower is an understatement. It is a lot lower of a population than something like Kronos. Let's talk about the next thing though. The next thing that's just randomly on my mind. Okay, who believes it? Type 1 in chat if you believe Hyperion is gonna merge with Kronos one day. Type 1 in chat. Type 1 in chat. I believe it, bro. I believe it. My dad works at Nexon, and I believe it, bro. Cause I feel like personally, I feel like what they're gonna do with Hyperion is they're gonna treat Hyperion like a burning world, but it's gonna be a reboot. And I feel like one day they're just gonna merge the servers, and I feel like one day your account is just gonna be straight up ported over to Kronos. Now, I'm obviously talking out of my ass here. I have no connection to anything related to Nexon. My dad obviously does not work at Nexon, but it's a funny joke. So, but I do believe that like one of these days, I do believe whether it's 2025 or 2026, I do believe that one of these days, Hyperion is gonna merge with Kronos. I see that. I see that reality, honestly. I think it'll happen. But that's just me. That's just what I think, you know. I think Hyperion can stand on its own, but you need to give it like 3 years. So I would agree with that, Matt, but the only thing that I would say like to counter that argument is okay, I'll give you an example. There's a lot of Maplestory players and a lot of I've seen Korean reboot players and also even like Chinese players that are now starting to play on Kronos, right? Why would a Chinese player or a Maplestory player or a Korean player from like KR reboot or like KMS in general, why would any of these people go on a lower populated server? Like from my perspective and in my opinion is most people would just like to play on a more active server. It has, yes, it is, you are correct. Hyperion, it hasn't even been a year yet, which is true, right? That's obviously true. And yeah, it was November of last year. No, it was November. Hyperion started on November 14th, 2023. So it hasn't been a year yet. But like I said, from my perspective, like, I don't know, I could see Hyperion being like standing on its own, obviously, and I do think Hyperion does already stand on its own. I think there's just a lot of like bad propaganda that like a lot of the Kronos streamers and people like talk about, and it's not streamers, it's more so just people, the people who make noise, you know what I mean? Like, and regardless of if you think that noise means anything or whatever, I think at the end of the day, public perception is very important, right? It's very important, especially for like a growing server. And I think in general, like it's really important to have like incentives for people to want to play the brand new fresh server, right? I'll tell you one thing, for a lot of people that started Hyperion, one of the biggest incentives was to play Hyperion because of the fact that there wasn't any legacy items. And that was a big determining factor for a lot of people. Let's be honest, guys, a lot of people wanted to be rank 1 of their class on Hyperion. And regardless of if you think those people wouldn't or would be able to do it, then like on Kronos, that is, that's up to you to believe, obviously. But let's be honest, guys, a lot of people do care about stuff like that. A lot of people want to be rank 1 on dojo. A lot of people want to be rank 1 of their class. For me personally, I've never cared about things like that because to be rank 1, I understand like what it means to like be rank 1. And for me, like I'll give you another example. If we're talking about like character strength from 4 years ago when I was really into Kronos, I was probably among the, if I were to like guess, or not guess, but if I were to like think out loud, I could probably name at the time in 2021 when I quit Kronos, I could probably name 5 heroes that were stronger than me in terms of their character's progression, right? In terms of gear, right? And to someone who understands, like me, that legacy items and all this bullshit plays a huge part into like determining someone's strength, someone might be discouraged at the fact that they'll never be, you know, they'll never be at the tippity top of the iceberg. And for a lot of those people, yeah, though that idea of being a Hyperion refugee was real to like a lot of people. You're right, Dev. Like, there were a lot of people talking about how, like, oh, this guy's a Kronos reject, he's a Hyperion refugee, blah 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 blah, right? And let's be honest, that was true for a lot of people. But at the end of the day, right, remember, this is Maplestory, and the biggest determining factor to being the strongest of your class is consistency. Yes, getting lucky matters, right? You can ask Matt. I've seen Matt's YouTube shorts. Matt's got a different client than some of us guys, right? But let's be honest, right? The fact of the matter is consistency is the biggest determining factor for how strong and how progressed you'll be in this game. I'm not even close to the top 6 hero on this server. Not even fucking close. It's not even like close. Trust me, I'm friends with still all the same heroes from like back then. Their gear is ridiculous, right? But I'm not even like in the realm of like possibility for competing on like a hard limbo or whatever any of these bosses. But I will tell you one thing, right? One thing is these people who are still remaining at the top, they were always just consistent, and that's all that matters in Maple. You know, whether you were farming in the Kana days, whether you were farming with the, you know, introduction of 6 job and fragments, regardless of how you feel, consistency in Maplestory always trumps every single other thing, you know? So that's pretty much it. But let me catch up on chat because I was kind of ranting. But yo, like, also one more thing, I'm gonna keep saying this over the course of my stream today, but thank you everybody for being here. It means a lot to me, actually, just because you know, I haven't streamed in a while and people are just, you know, people are just back, you know, and I appreciate everybody, so thank you.